Welcome everyone to episode 126 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creators Series. Today I had a producer who's a New York native. His name is Stoic. I actually discovered Stoic through his work with Rocky Fresh and a few other artists. And I also discovered him just through social media, having success on BeatStars and different things like that. This was a great conversation today. We discussed his overall journey of the last 10 years, learning to produce from having been in a high school band, where he was playing guitar and everything, and then he eventually picked up Machine, and then which led him to Ableton, where he is now producing a lot of different records. We talked about, the success he's had on BeatStars and YouTube, making income that way and connecting with different artists, and also the importance of brand building as a producer, which is something that Stoic is doing a lot, self-releasing a lot of music, both instrumental and collaborations with other artists as well. So overall, Stoic is just doing it the way that I think it should be done as a producer in the modern day. Also doing great things on TikTok as well. And I love just his energy and his passion for his music. And overall, his trajectory looks really good. I'm looking forward to reconnecting with him very soon. So I hope you guys enjoy this one as always. And without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome everyone to episode 126 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creators Series. Today I have another great producer. This guy's been putting in a lot of work recently. Seen him all over social media, doing a lot of collabs, self-releasing music. Stoic is here. How are you, man?
What's going on, Anthony? How you doing?
Doing great, man. And thank you for doing this on such short notice, because we just started talking like a couple days ago, and I'm happy to have you here. And to start off every episode, we have the guest kind of give some background on how did you get into music, how long have you been doing it. Just some basic information for those that might not know you and what you do.
Yeah, so how I got into making beats, the short story of it is I was bored one day in high school, and I saw a video of one of Kendrick Lamar's producers making a beat on this beat pad for the album Good Kid, Mad City. And I was like, man, that looks cool. I've always liked music my whole life. I was in a couple bands since I also play the guitar. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it would be a cool thing to have as a hobby. So I started playing, and I started producing, and I never looked back. Mm-hmm.
So that's going on, 10 years then? Because that was 10 years ago, Good Kid, Mad City. So
right. Yeah, it might have been like, I know I started... I would say closer to 8 years. It was a bit of an old video, mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd say closer to 8 years. Yeah. It was quite a while ago.
So what did you pick up then? Are you like an Ableton guy or a Pro Tools guy? Like, what do you kind of work out of still today?
Well, initially I used this thing called Machine, which mm-hmm. is like a pretty unheard of DAW software to use. But the hardware was so cool that I was just like, yeah, like this is the way to go. Since then, in the past 3 years, I've switched to Ableton, and I gotta say, Ableton is, I'm biased, but I do think it is the best.
Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people kind of either make the switch, or I've actually heard a lot of people use Machine that I've had on the show recently, and they all kind of say they're like, not a lot of people have heard of it, but I use Machine. I'm like, it's starting to become like more of a thing that I've heard as well. I've never dabbled myself, and I've also heard Ableton, like good things about Ableton as well. Was that like a learning curve then, kind of making that transition from Machine to Ableton? Or you kind of still go back and forth if you have to?
Oh, I've deleted Machine since switching, but it was definitely a bit of a learning curve. I used to like to say at least that I'm probably the least technical producer that there is. So all things like in Machine, I would never even use an EQ feature or like a compressor, let's say, or even really like know how to mix my stuff. So when I came into Ableton, that was a little more prevalent, and it was a pretty big learning curve. But I just took this, I took it an hour a day, mm-hmm. and after about a month, Ableton is so intuitive that I was able to pick it up almost entirely.
Mm-hmm. That's great to hear.
So that was nice.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Now you did mention about, you do play guitar as well, and you said you were in a band. So I didn't know about the whole band part. I did know you played guitar. So like, what was that experience like going from, being in a band with other members and things like that, to kind of producing and then it's kind of just you doing your own thing. Is that a big difference, a big contrast, or like how has that been?
It was funny. It was a band that I started in high school with three other of my friends just from the neighborhood, and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. We made an album just pretty much for ourselves, but it was funny because I was the one in the band creating the melodies, and then I would tell the bass player, I think you should play something like this, and I would tell the drummer, like, oh, I think you should drum something like this, and I kind of started to think to myself, like, maybe I could just do this all on my own. And funny enough, now that's what I'm doing for my career, doing it all on my own, which I do also love collaborating with people, don't get me wrong, but just something of having the control and the artistic freedom to create all the sounds yourself is so enjoyable to me.
Yeah. It's crazy because I was actually just on another podcast the other day, and the guy asked me, like, why did I start producing and stuff? And I said, when I was, like, in middle school, I still thought that all that stuff was done by people with instruments, like a full band and everything. I didn't know what producing even was. So, like, when I found out that you could be one person and just have a computer and you could make all these great songs, my mind was blown. Because I'm just like, there's no way that could be a thing. But it's definitely cool. But I like what you just said about, you were kind of already doing that to begin with. So it's like you kind of just followed the path of, where it was headed. And you already had that kind of skill already, ingrained in you to be able to do that. So I think that's great to hear.
Yeah, it was just... it wasn't like I was in the band and I realized, like, oh, I could do this on my own. Mm-hmm. And that's why I didn't leave or anything. It kind of just dissolved, as most high school bands do. But it was kind of just like an insane coincidence that I went from one thing to the next, and they happened to kind of relate like that. It was just purely a coincidence, but it was cool.
Yeah, it's good to see how those things kind of come full circle too. So that's awesome. So who, growing up and even now, like, who are you drawing a lot of influence from, or who did you, when you were a kid, when you heard them, you were just like, I kind of want to do music one day? Because I know, like, you, just from hearing your beats and stuff, you do a lot of different things. Like, you have diversity as well. So I'm curious to know, like, who are some of your favorite artists now or even back then?
Oh, man. The reason I started making beats besides that Kendrick Lamar video, was Tyler, the Creator's album Wolf. I'm not sure if you're a Tyler fan, are you?
I'm a little bit of a Tyler. I wouldn't call myself a full, like, connoisseur, but yeah, definitely respect Tyler for sure.
All right. Well, when I heard those beats on that album, they were completely different from anything I've ever heard, and I think a lot of people can attest to Tyler's sound being completely, like, left field. Mm-hmm. And when I heard that, I was like, damn, like, that's what I'm going to try to replicate. And for the first year or so, I'd say, I was literally just remaking beats from that Wolf album. I was also remaking beats from Earl Sweatshirt's album Doris, which was his, like, first major label release. And that album had some crazy beats on it too. Mm-hmm. And that's also a little bit of advice I'd give to, like, someone starting out is recreating songs is a great way to learn techniques and to learn, arrangement, mixing, stuff like that. It's kind of like when you're learning how to play an instrument and you learn the song on an instrument. And that helped me so much to develop my own sounds. And from there, I've branched out, obviously, but that's a great starting point.
Yeah, because it's like you can pull them in as references and then just kind of build around it and build your own thing as well. I've definitely heard of that, especially with the mixing side, because there's always that whole thing of you want to get your mix, like, as close to, like, a pro level as possible, at least, like, the rough mix and everything. So you can bring in, like, a stem even off YouTube if you wanted to and just kind of compare the levels and everything and see where everything is. So that's definitely something that I think a lot of, like, young producers can try out. I definitely love, though, you're talking about, like, that era of music, because, like, that's the Odd Future era, that's, like, the mixtape era and everything. I was just having a conversation with my friend the other day about that, because we we were all in high school and like middle school during that time. We were like, that was such a special time too, because a lot of artists were putting out like projects for free on like DatPiff and things like
Yeah.
that, and you could just kind of be like sitting in school and you're seeing the countdown clock, like so and so's dropping tonight when you get off school. I was like, that era was just so great for music.
The DatPiff era.
Yeah.
That was such a great era for music. That golden, I don't know if it's referred to as the golden age, but 2010 to 2018, let's say, of just hip hop, or 2012 to 2018 maybe. So many incredible releases. I think of right off the top of my head, like obviously Good Kid, Mad City, all the stuff Tyler was doing, Earl, and Joey Badass, 1999. Like just so many crazy things. ASAP Rocky was going crazy. It was such a great time for music, and I'm happy that those were my formative years.
Yeah. And it's great to see a lot of those artists are still around doing their thing. That was kind of the beginning of their journey in a lot of ways. So it's kind of cool to see like how they've all evolved and grown over time, for sure. So
wait, don't let me leave off Chance the Rapper.
Oh yeah, Chance as well, because that was right when he got like pretty big and everything, and then a few years later he's winning Grammys. So crazy. So we get back to today, modern day and everything, and I don't know how many like songs you're working on like per day, because obviously you probably have a lot of stuff you do. But what is your process? Let's just say on the day to day, as far as like how you're approaching making beats currently.
My process has varied over the few years. I've been doing this pretty, let's say as a career for almost 3 years now. No, a little over 3 years actually. But my process is pretty similar day to day. It's wake up around 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'll just like make a coffee, or I'll meditate a bit, and then I'll listen to some music for just about like 10 minutes, let's say, that kind of influences the sound that I want to make that day. So then I'll just hop right into it. And from like 9 to 1, let's say, I'll work on something. I'll take a little break in the middle, maybe make some lunch, take a nap. I don't know. Go for a walk. Come back to it. Few hours. I never work more than, let's say, like 3 hours at a time. I won't be sitting there because, one, I think that's kind of unhealthy to be just sitting constantly for 10 hours a day making music. But I will say I do get 8 to 10 hours throughout the entire day, pretty much every day, Monday through Friday. Unless I have like, a session with an artist or something else that I have to work on. But that's my typical process. Yeah.
It's so important to have the breaks, because I feel like I've mentioned this on different episodes that I've done, is there's a lot of like talk about, let's just say, like producer culture in general, where it's like you got to just constantly be working and putting out content and all this stuff. It's like you got to have balance though too, because if you're letting the rest of your life kind of just slip from you and you're not doing all the other things that are important to you, it's not going to work out very well. And you got to stay hydrated and keep your nutrients up and get the fresh air, because like you said, if you're sitting in front of a computer all day, you're going to look like an old man, and you're going to be like 20 years old and all hunched over, and it's not going to be great. So
no, definitely not. I definitely also try to be active every day in some capacity, whether it's the gym or just going for a walk or maybe playing basketball, something like that. But I think that moving your body, at least to me, really helps like my brain to not get stagnant. And it kind of makes sense too, because if you're just sitting in one place all day, like there's really no movement going around, and I feel like when I get out and I move my body, it kind of shakes up the ideas, and then the next time I come and sit down, I'm kind of just overflowing with things that I want to put out there.
Exactly. I always go for walks a lot too. I just go outside and walk around for a couple hours and just think about like, what can I be doing? What can I be planning out? And then I come back, and you're right. It's like you got that. You feel rejuvenated. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you got the fresh wind and everything. So I think that's great. You mentioned, having sessions with different artists. So are there a lot of artists that kind of just come in your studio and work? Do you have like a recording spot like set up for them to just come in, and once you guys have an idea locked in, you can just get to recording?
Well, currently I'm since I moved back from LA, I'm at my parents' house right now. So I don't have my own setup, and I wouldn't want to really bring people in here.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm telling you this. It's not pushing along the conversation, but usually no, we will meet up at a neutral studio, like somewhere in Brooklyn or Manhattan maybe, and yeah, we'll just get right into it. The sessions usually go 4 or 5 hours, and we kind of just get a bunch of ideas out there and see if anything will stick.
Hmm. Are there any people you're working with currently that you want to shout out? Like, could be independent artists, could be pretty much anyone that you want to kind of give some light to here on the show.
Oh yeah. So I'm working with this one artist. She's a rapper out of I believe Brooklyn, but her name is Chelsea Reject. Um, Chelsea is like, she knows she's like one of the hardest rappers out right now, and she's been doing this for a while. But yeah, she's probably the person I have the most sessions with, almost once a week, and yeah, we got some good stuff coming for you pretty soon.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that.
Nice, man. I'm looking forward to that for sure. So I know that, I think it was in July, you just passed, I think, 1 million streams on BeatStars. So congrats on that. I did want to know,
thank you.
yeah, man. I did want to know, how are you approaching connecting with different artists through BeatStars, through YouTube as well? Because I know your YouTube has a lot of tracks on there. How do you approach that? Because obviously it's important nowadays for producers to have a catalog for people to go check out, and it's a great way to connect. So how has that benefited you, you think?
Well, the YouTube and BeatStars game is that's 90% of my income at this point, through beat sales and stuff like that. But the YouTube channel has helped me. I mean, up until this point, my whole career has been based upon my YouTube channel, because that's where everyone has found me through. That's where I've gotten placements from. That's where I've met artists from. But now I would say in the past few months, there's starting to be a change because, and some of it is from, stuff that I've done on my own. But now I'm kind of trying to branch out and do stuff on Instagram and even TikTok. And TikTok, actually, I'm sorry, I'm kind of scattered here, but I have a lot of ideas coming to me right now. But TikTok actually has been such a help to me in terms of people finding me that like didn't even know I had a YouTube channel. And the algorithm on there is just so impressive that TikTok has been recommending me like upcoming artists that they think I would like, since they know, I guess, I'm a producer. And I've connected with at least 10 amazing artists that I wouldn't have known about if it wasn't for TikTok. So every time I see someone great on my page, I give them a follow, I reach out, I send them some beats, and some really good stuff has come from that so far. And I think, that's been my most powerful tool in the past few months.
Yeah. See, you're one step ahead of me, because that was literally my next question, was about how you've been using social media. Because, like I said, I dove into your Instagram and I thought like what you were doing there was great. And then I saw that you did like a duet video on TikTok that did pretty well, and a lot of people were doing that. So yeah, that's great to hear that that's been an outlet as well. Obviously, because TikTok is like, a lot of people will look at the negative side of TikTok, but it's kind of just like anything else. I think you just have to use it for, your own uses and figure out how to make connections out of it at the end of the day. So for you, I think that's what's happening. So that's great to hear, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, like, anything in life has a negative side and a positive side. Water has a negative side and a positive side,
Yeah.
But it's all about the way you use it.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, they might not like that. TikTok might not be their thing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it has helped I hate to use this word, but networking, I guess. But really just meeting dope people.
Yeah.
It has helped me so much with that. And it's helping to get my sound and my beats out there to people who might not have heard it otherwise. So
Yeah.
how could that be a negative?
Exactly, exactly, and that's how I think you continue to grow and evolve over time. The more these different outlets come to you, you just got to figure out how to use them to push your brand and your story out there, and that's all you can do. So that's great to hear, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
So obviously, you also have self released a lot of music as well. You've done some instrumental releases. You've done some collaborations with different artists that you put out on streaming platforms. So talk about that. How important has that been? Kind of just adding another layer to your brand and your story as well. Doing that.
I like the way you observed everything that I'm doing is very like very accurate. It all kind of the way you just described it is exactly how I feel about my own career. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
My yeah, growing my streaming platforms under my own name, Stoic, has been a big thing for me this year because I, there's a big stigma in the past few years of YouTube producers and kind of getting stuck in that box of just being like a YouTube type beat producer. And there's nothing wrong with that because trust me, like the amount of money that I know that some people make off YouTube type beats is that, they make more than doctors. Mm-hmm. So you can't fault them, but I do want to say that I do want to, at the end of the day, I want to be looked at as an artist and I want to build my career as an artist. So, building my streaming platforms, dropping songs under my own name with artists that I love has been really, really big for me. And I'm kind of modeling my career after like someone like an Alchemist or a K Tronada or a Madlib, where my plan, eventually is to just be releasing albums, like let's say like 7-track EPs with one artist that I really love, and we make 7 tracks, and then 2 months after that, do another one with a different artist and a completely different style of beats. I think that would be the coolest thing ever. So, and I think there's a huge market for that too, because obviously, a ton of people love what The Alchemist is doing right now, and it's great. So that's where I definitely want to be a few years from now. Let's say.
I think it's such a great time to be a producer in a lot of ways because there's so many different sides that you can get to, and even like Alchemist, like he's not only doing those releases, he's also doing like merchandise around the releases and vinyl releases and doing all that stuff to build his brand up and continue to gain new fans and keep his old fans interested as well. So I think it's just like, how are you going to look at it? Because obviously there's a lot of producers, they still think the only thing you can do is get placements and just wait and sit around and not really be proactive. But I think the producers that are being proactive, that are putting themselves out there, that are, taking these opportunities where they come as well, it's just like, you're going to continue to see success over time. It's just going to continue to evolve and get better. So congrats on that, man. And I was digging into some of your stuff, like the Aura EP and stuff like that. And man, I was like, I gotta
take that tape down.
Why is that?
I don't feel like it represents me the right way. I dropped that, I believe, in 2019, 2019. Yeah,
I think that's what it said.
I think that's before I was still in college back then, and I was basically taking music as a hobby, and I kind of just made that tape for fun.
Yeah.
But since then, it's gotten a lot more serious, and I've gotten, everything from my mix to my techniques to my sounds, I think are completely different. And I don't know. I don't know about that one, but I'm glad you listened to it at least.
I was about to say, I went back and I'm just like, God, there's some good stuff on here. Like a lot of the songs you have with, I think his name's Ryan. A lot of those songs with him. Oh man, crazy. I'm gonna have to dig in. I'm gonna have to dig in more to that stuff, man. But
it's funny. He's definitely one of the artists. Like I mentioned, doing a 7-track EP. He's gonna be one of the first ones that I do it. He's just a friend of mine that I grew up with in high school. And this dude can rap. Like when I say he could rap, and he has a great voice. So definitely looking forward to doing more with him.
Yeah, and from the looks of it, you guys had a lot of collabs already out, so it looks like the chemistry's already there. So
yeah. I mean, he's just the homie, like he lives maybe 10 minutes from me in New York. So anytime I'm like, yo, like, I just made this beat. I think you should make something over it. I'll send it to him. He'll come through. We'll do a session, and we'll have a song within like one day's time.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah, that's the best type of collaboration right there. I'll be looking out for that. I'm looking forward to
For
whatever
sure.
you guys got coming out. Is there anything else that you're working on, like before the end of the year, that we can expect to see? Could be your own release, could be working on some other music for other artists.
Yeah.
What do you want to reveal, I guess?
Oh man. Well, I'm sitting on this very nice piece of information. I have a little story. I'll just tell you because I feel like I gotta say some interesting shit, or else who cares? So, quick story. Last week, I saw that Mick Jenkins was doing features, paid features, and I was like, maybe I could make a beat and then make a song with someone and feature Mick Jenkins on it. And if I drop that, it'll help my streaming numbers or whatever. And I just thought it would be a cool idea. So I hit him up. He tells me, the price for the feature, and I'm like, sure. And he's like, all right, send me the beat you want me to record over. So I send him the money. I send him the beat. He hits me back a couple days later, and he's like, yo, bro, I can't record over this one. I can't do the feature over this one. I was like, oh, shit, why not? And he's like, yeah, I think I need this for my next album.
Oh.
So I was like, all right, perfect. And then he tells me, he's like, listen, to compensate, since I already, sent him the money for the verse, he said, to compensate, I'll make you an entire song instead of just one verse. So look for Stoic Mick Jenkins track dropping pretty soon.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's funny because usually when they say that, they're just like, nah, I'm not vibing with the beat, or like,
Yep.
I'm not doing this. But then it's like, oh no, he wants it for his album as well. So that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
The way he said it was, it made me laugh because he's like, bro, I can't record the verse for this. So I was like, what's the problem, But yeah, I hope, he's cool with me putting that out there. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that. And then aside from that, I have another song that's going to be my first song with my vocals on it. I'm singing on a hook, and I have a verse. So that's going to drop most likely after the track with Mick. So really looking forward to that too. I'm just trying to take over this year, honestly.
Yeah. Got to keep that momentum going. It's great to hear that you got a lot of stuff going on. So congrats, man.
Oh yeah, bro. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
No problem. And we're down to the last few questions here. These are questions I ask on every episode. And the first one is, if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself a piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
I wouldn't change anything. Honestly, I think that the way that things went, I needed, like, I didn't speak about it on here yet, but I wasn't even supposed to be doing music. I was in college to get my nursing degree, and I actually I graduated college with my nursing degree, so I'm a nurse now. But I was supposed to be doing nursing, and from a very unfortunate, weird twist of events, now I'm making music, and I couldn't be happier. So everything that happened basically needed to happen.
Yeah. All happens for a reason. That's for sure.
Exactly.
So,
thank you.
In 10 years from now, where do you think you envision yourself in your life and your career?
10 years from now, I'll be 35. I would like to be starting a family at least, or, be a little more settled down. In terms of my career, I think, I want to go down as one of the greatest producers that there ever was. I definitely want to be I want to be touring and with artists and playing my music for gigantic crowds and headlining festivals and stuff. Think like K Tronada career trajectory, but more hip hoppy.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make it happen. So
Nice, man.
Stay tuned.
Well, when you get those live shows going, I gotta be in attendance because that sounds crazy, man.
Man,
That's
hit me up.
awesome.
I'll get you a ticket.
Will do, bro. Keep me posted. So, do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
Words of wisdom. I don't like to get too deep or preachy.
Yeah.
But if you want to do something in life, it's doable. You just got to figure out how, make a little plan, and do it every day. I think that's what the biggest thing about anything in life is whatever you want to do. If you want to make something happen, you got to do it every day. And it could just be an hour, could be 8 hours like I do, but do it every day. Consistency really is what it's all about.
Yeah, and that work always comes back full circle somehow. So I definitely agree with that, man. Well, Stoic, that's all I have for you today, man. Thank you so much. Like I said, on such short notice because we just started talking, but man, this was a fun episode, and hopefully we could do this again soon, man.
Anthony, thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me on here, and yeah, the pleasure was all mine.
Thanks, guys, for listening today. That was episode 126. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds, and feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. So we'll see you then. Thanks, everyone.